You ever have one of those days where you're soaring on cloud nine, absolutely buzzing with life-altering joy, and then some utterly unhinged lunatic from your job tries to yank you back down to hell? Yeah, that was pretty much my week. I'm Joe, a professor at a rather prestigious university, and honestly, I love what I do. My days are usually a whirlwind of lectures, research, and trying to decipher student emails that make me question the future of critical thinking. But even with all that, nothing could have prepared me for the emotional roller coaster that started the day my wife called me in the middle of a complex lecture. "It's time," she said, her voice a little shaky, a lot excited. My heart practically jumped out of my chest. Time, for the time. I dropped everything mid-sentence, mind you, told my stunned class I had an emergency and sprinted out of the building. My mind was a blur of contractions, hospital parking, and tiny baby shoes. When I finally burst into her room, there she was, my incredible wife, looking radiant despite the pain. She was in labor and everything was progressing beautifully. A wave of pure, unadulterated relief washed over me. This was it, our baby, our family. The world suddenly felt perfect. But as any academic knows, the universe has a cruel sense of humor. Even on paternity leave, even in the blissful haze of meeting my newborn for the first time, work finds a way. I was just catching a quick breath, my wife resting beside me, when I idly checked my work email. And there it was, a missive from Professor Vance, a colleague in my department, notoriously known for her intensity. Her email wasn't just caustic, it was a full-blown verbal assault in text form. "Joe, where are you? This research proposal is due tomorrow and I haven't heard from you in days. This is completely unacceptable. You're letting the department down." I stared at it, a tired chuckle escaping me. Days, plural. My wife just pushed a human being out of her body, and Alina was worried about a research proposal. I quickly fired back a polite, albeit firm, email explaining I was on paternity leave and would address work issues when I returned. I thought that would be the end of it. Oh, sweet summer child, I was so very wrong. Over the next few days, my phone buzzed with increasingly frantic texts from my administrative assistant, Brenda. "Joe," she'd type, "Dr. Vance was in your office again. She's demanding to know when you'll be back. Then she just came by, left a stack of papers and said to tell you this won't wait. And finally, she's practically camped out in the hallway. The staff is getting really stressed." I tried to compartmentalize, I really did. I had a tiny, perfect human being to marvel at, a tired but happy wife to support. But the constant reports from Brenda were like little gnats buzzing around my head, slowly building a deep-seated dread. Alina Vance wasn't just intense, she was completely unhinged. Finally, my paternity leave was over, and I was, for the first time in my life, not looking forward to going back to work. I said a bittersweet goodbye to my wife and baby, promising to be home early. The moment I stepped onto my floor, I could feel the tension. Brenda gave me a look that screamed Godspeed. And there she was, leaning against my office doorframe, arms crossed, face a thundercloud, Professor Vance. Finally, she spat, pushing off the frame and stepping towards me like a predator. "Do you have any idea the backlog you've caused? This is a university, not a daycare. Where have you been?" I took a deep breath, trying to channel my inner Zen master. "Alina, I was on paternity leave. I sent you an email explaining that." "Paternity leave," she scoffed, as if I'd just invented the concept. As if that's an excuse for dereliction of duty. "I've had to rearrange my entire schedule because of your personal choices." Before I could even formulate a calm, professional retort about work-life balance and basic human decency, the office door opened again. It was my wife, beaming, cradling our newborn in her arms. She decided to surprise me with lunch, wanting to share a moment before I got fully swallowed by work. The timing, of course, was impeccable. Alina's eyes immediately locked onto my wife and the baby. Her scowl deepened, her face twisting into a mask of pure indignation. "And who is this?" she demanded, gesturing wildly. "Another student. What in the world are you doing here, distracting Professor Miller from his important work with that?" She pointed a finger, not just at my wife, but at our baby. My wife, usually quick-witted, just blinked, utterly stunned. She looked at me, then back at Alina, a bewildered question in her eyes. It was clear she had no idea who this raving lunatic was. "This is my wife, Alina," I said, my voice dangerously low, "and this is our baby." But Alina was too far gone. Your wife, with a baby, in a university office, this is highly inappropriate. Are you bringing your personal life into the workplace now, girl? Do you even know what professional conduct means? She was yelling now, her voice echoing down the hall. I'm sure you think you're very clever showing up here, but you're disrupting a vital academic department. Take your distraction and leave immediately. Brenda, my amazing admin assistant, stepped forward looking horrified. Dr. Vance, please, this is Professor Miller's wife. Alina rounded on her. Stay out of this, Brenda. This student needs to learn some respect. That was it. That was the line. The very last thread of my patience snapped. My vision narrowed and a cold, protective fury surged through me. My beautiful wife, holding our innocent child, being publicly humiliated by this absolute monster. I walked over, gently but firmly took my wife and baby into my arms, pulling them behind me. Then I turned slowly to face Alina. My voice was calm, but it was the kind of calm that precedes a storm. Alina, I said, each word precise and heavy, you will leave, now. Her mouth opened, ready for another tirade, but something in my eyes must have stopped her. The sheer, unadulterated rage she saw there. She actually took a step back. Brenda, I continued, never breaking eye contact with Alina, please escort Professor Vance out of my office. And then please ensure she does not set foot on this floor again, ever. Brenda, looking both terrified and utterly relieved, quickly moved to do just that. Alina, still sputtering, was led away, her indignant protests fading down the hall. My wife, still trembling a little, looked up at me. What was that? I just held her tighter, pressing a kiss to our baby's head. Don't worry about it, let's get you two to lunch. Later that day, after I'd made sure my wife and baby were safely home, I went straight to the head of engineering. He listened to my story, his face growing grimmer with each detail. Then he dropped a bombshell. Professor Vance was untenured. Meaning, while it wouldn't be simple, she could be fired. Brenda, a true hero, immediately started compiling every email, every incident report, every witness statement. The outcome wasn't guaranteed, but for the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. I had stood up for my family, and I was going to fight for justice. So yeah, that's how I celebrated becoming a dad, by going to war with a nightmare colleague. But hey, some battles are worth fighting. Especially when they involve protecting the two most important people in your life from a raging academic who thinks paternity leave is an excuse for dereliction of duty. Wish us luck, Redditors. This story, I have a feeling, is far from over.
Okay, real talk, if you're still here after 2 of these chaotic Reddit tales, you're probably one of us. Go ahead, hit subscribe. It's free chaos every episode. Now, let's dive into story number 3.
Have you ever seen someone's entire night and possibly their whole dating life just completely implode in real time? I have, and honestly, it was even more satisfying than the creme brulee. So, picture this, me and my best friend Sarah decided to treat ourselves. We're talking a proper, fancy French place, the kind with tablecloths so white you're afraid to breathe on them and waiters who glide around like ghosts. We were halfway through a bottle of surprisingly good wine, just catching up and enjoying the quiet buzz of the place. Eventually, nature calls and I head to the washroom. There's a short queue, just one woman in front of me. No big deal, we're all civilized adults here, right? Wrong. Suddenly, this guy who looked like he'd slicked his hair back with pure ego breezes past both of us and yanks on the locked door handle. He's maybe late 40s, wearing a blazer that's trying a little too hard. He huffs, turns, and glares at us as if we're the inconvenience. The woman in front of me just kind of shrinks back, but I give him a look, you know the one, the "are you for real" look. He meets my eyes, scoffs, and then pointedly stands in front of me, crossing his arms. I was so stunned by the sheer audacity that I didn't say anything. I figured, fine, whatever. If he's gotta go that badly, who am I to stand in the way of a potential emergency? The door opens, the woman goes in, and it's just me and Mr. Blazer waiting. The silence is thick with his entitlement. A few moments later, a commotion starts back in the dining room. I can't see everything, but I can definitely hear Mr. Blazer's voice, now several decibels louder, aimed at the open kitchen pass. This is unacceptable, he's bellowing for the whole restaurant to hear. This cock oven is dry. Do you people even know what you're doing back there? I know the owner. Classic. I roll my eyes so hard I think I sprained something. I glance over and see his date, a very elegant-looking woman, sinking lower and lower in her seat, wishing the floor would swallow her whole. The washroom door opens again. It's my turn. But as I move forward, Mr. Blazer swoops in front of me again and slips inside, shutting the door with a smug little smirk. Now I'm pissed. This isn't an emergency, this is a power trip, and I'm stuck waiting and waiting and waiting. I can hear him in there, not doing much of anything. He's humming. He flushes the toilet, runs the water for a second, then stops. More humming. He's deliberately taking his sweet time just to spite me for having the nerve to be in his way. When he finally emerges, preening like he just won a Nobel Prize, I'm standing right there, arms crossed. Feel better? I ask, my voice dripping with sarcasm. He stops, his face twisting into a mask of pure indignation. What did you say to me? I said, I hope you feel better, I say, a little louder. You clearly had a lot to get out of your system. First the chef, now a 5-minute standoff with a toilet. It's been a big night for you. His face goes beet red. You have no idea who you're talking to, he sputters, jabbing a finger in my direction. I will have you thrown out of here. I just laughed. Buddy, you're the one throwing a tantrum because your chicken was dry. Settle down. I brushed past him into the washroom, and by the time I got back to my table, the waiter was silently placing their check down next to Mr. Blazer. He snatched it up, his jaw clenched, and paid without another word. The whole restaurant was pretending not to watch, which of course means everyone was watching. Here's the best part. As fate would have it, his table was on the same long banquet seat as ours, just one empty spot between us. He's sitting there fuming, and his poor date is staring at her lap. She finally catches my eye and gives me this tiny, apologetic wince. I leaned over to Sarah but made sure my voice carried. Can you believe that guy? First, he shoves his way into the bathroom line, then he screams at the chef, then he purposely camps out in the stall just to be a jerk. Mr. Blazer shot me a look that could kill, but he didn't say a word. He knew he'd lost. His date, however, slowly lifted her head. She looked at him, then looked at me. She gathered her purse, stood up with incredible poise, and leaned down to him. For the record, she said, her voice calm and clear, this was our 4th date. She paused, then added, there will not be a 5th. And with that, she turned, walked out of the restaurant, and got into a waiting cab. We watched him just sit there, utterly alone, with a paid bill and a half-eaten plate of coq au vin. Sometimes you don't even need to get revenge. You just need to give people enough rope, and they'll do the work for you.
All right, buckle up, folks, because my cousin, let's call him Nico, had one of those you can't make this stuff up moments on a trip to the USA a while back. It's a classic lady, I don't even know you, let alone work here for you to harass kind of situation, but with a cultural twist. So, Nico and his buddies were over from Chile, hired to perform traditional Chilean dances at a few events. Picture this. They're buzzing with excitement, all decked out in these incredible, vibrant outfits. We're talking intricate embroidery, bold colors, the whole 9 yards. They're about to head to their first gig, but Nico, bless his heart, realizes he's parched. Guys, I need a drink like now, he says, and dashes into a nearby convenience store. He's in his full regalia, probably humming a cueca under his breath, just trying to find the soda aisle. He grabs a Gatorade, minding his own business, when he hears that distinct, assertive female voice from behind him. Excuse me, she says, and the way she says it, like he's just personally insulted her entire lineage. Just what do you think you're wearing? That's not from here. Nico, who's usually pretty chill but doesn't suffer fools gladly, turns around. He sees this woman, let's call her Karen because, come on, already puffing up, ready for a fight. Pardon, Nico asks, genuinely confused for a second. I'm sorry, is there a problem? Oh, there was a problem, all right, for Karen. A problem? She scoffs, eyes narrowing at his outfit. You're parading around in that costume. It's cultural appropriation. You people come here and think you can just steal culture. Nico's eyebrows shoot up. Steal what culture, senora? This is from my country. Karen waves a dismissive hand. Oh, please. I know Mexican culture when I see it and you shouldn't be wearing it. It's disrespectful. Mexico is the only real country in Latin America with culture anyway, and you're clearly not even from there. Okay, deep breaths. Nico, who's a proud Chilean and actually from Latin America, tries to set her straight, polite but firm. Ma'am, with all due respect, I'm not Mexican. I'm Chilean. And there are many, many countries in Latin America, each with its own rich culture. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Wrong. Karen looked at him like he just sprouted a second head. Chilean, Mexican, whatever, she snapped, her voice getting louder. It doesn't matter, you're in America wearing foreign things and it's offensive, you should be ashamed. People are starting to look now. Nico's just trying to buy his drink and this woman is causing a scene. Nico's patience, which was already thin because he was thirsty and on a schedule, just up and vanished. He was standing there, Gatorade in hand, Karen practically vibrating with self-righteousness and blocking his path to the counter. Look, he says, his voice dangerously calm. I'm tired, I'm thirsty, and I have a performance, so if you'll excuse me. He tries to step around her, but she actually sidesteps to block him again. You're not going anywhere until you admit you're wrong. That was it. Nico just stares at her for a beat, then a slow, sarcastic grin spreads across his face. You know what, senora? For all this trouble, this ridiculous lecture, and for wasting my time right before my show, you can pay for my drink. Karen's jaw drops. I will not pay for your drink. How dare you? You're the one who should be apologizing. Nico just shakes his head, done with the whole thing. He sidesteps her, puts the Gatorade on the counter, and as he's pulling out his wallet, he mutters loud enough for her to hear, Chale puta, for those not in the know. Chale is Chilean slang for enough of this crap or hell no, and well, puta, you can guess. It's basically a very colorful way of telling her to get lost. He pays, grabs his drink and heads for the door, but Karen, oh, she wasn't done, she screeches. He assaulted me, he threatened me, security, security. Next thing Nico knows, a beefy security guard is blocking the exit. Sir, I need you to wait right here, we've had a complaint. Nico's fuming, a complaint, she's the one who harassed me, I just bought a drink. The guard, to his credit, looked more weary than accusatory, but he still had to do his job. Ma'am says you attacked her. Karen is now playing the full-on victim, tears welling up, badly faked, Nico said, pointing a shaking finger at him. This is ridiculous, Nico says, trying to keep his cool. Check your cameras, I didn't lay a finger on her. She's the one who started yelling at me because of my clothes. So the guard, bless his sensible soul, says, okay, let's do that. He gets on his radio and they wait. It felt like an eternity with Karen glaring daggers and muttering about disrespectful foreigners. A few minutes later, the manager comes out with the guard. They've reviewed the footage. The manager looks at Karen, then at Nico. Well, ma'am, he says, his voice flat. The cameras show you approaching him, yelling at him, and him trying to walk away. He didn't touch you. In fact, a couple of other customers also confirmed you were rather loud. The color drained from Karen's face. She started sputtering, but he was offensive, his clothes. The manager just cut her off. Ma'am, what he wears is his business. What you did was harass another customer. I think it's best if you leave. Karen, realizing she'd lost and everyone was staring, just huffed, shot Nico one last venomous look and stormed out. Good riddance. The manager turned to Nico, looking apologetic. Sir, I am so sorry you had to go through that. Please accept this $20 gift card for the trouble. Nico, still a bit shaky but massively relieved, managed a smile. Gracias, no problem. He walked out of there, chugging his Gatorade, finally on his way to the performance, which, by the way, went great. He told us later, man, I just wanted a drink. Didn't expect a lecture on fake geography and a near-arrest experience. So yeah, that's the story of how Nico's traditional Chilean dance outfit almost got him thrown in a US jail. Some people really just need to mind their own business and maybe open a geography book once in a while. Chale.
This next video hits the same vibe. Check it out.